Welcome to Action Energy Market Global podcast. My name is Tarja Teppo. I'm the founder of Action Energy Finance. In this video podcast, we interview people that work with clean transition. We highlight solutions and stories behind them and explore project financing options utilized. All right, and today we got to the podcast studio Matias Tingvall from GoCiklo. And so Matias is based in Sweden, and so is GoCiklo. And why don't we start first, Matias, from your background? How did you end up in the sort of energy area, sustainability, electrification of transport? So what brings you here?
Wow.
It's a big question.
That's a big one. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I mean, the answer is I don't know. But energy. I started off with actually GoCiklo, so within the financial industry. And the last thing I did there were actually to build a Klarna, actually. I built Klarna, but I didn't know it, of course. Obviously, I didn't know.
So you were sort of way ahead the curve.
Yeah, but I didn't know. So that says everything, of course, because I built a sales finance tool, a checkout tool for the first online e-commerce players. So now we talk 98, 99.
Right.
So I started off there, and then a lot of people wanted .com businesses then. So Vattenfall recruited me to build a platform for people to buy insurance, electricity, and fixed telephony as you had that at that time.
All right, sounds like telephony. The 90s.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so so I built that so you could buy everything via the internet. So so that was Vattenfall, the Swedish utility.
Right.
And after that, I continued in Vattenfall until for 2 years ago. And within Vattenfall, in the end, I ended up with starting In Charge, the EV electricity network there. And that's the way I came into mobility, I think. And I really loved it. And then 2 years ago, I felt, okay, now I want to do something by myself. I want to call the shots myself. I don't want to spend too much time in internal bureaucracy.
Yeah, so sort of like returning back to your sort of entrepreneurial roots in a way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So then I decided, okay, I will step up now and do it myself. So then we started GoCiklo.
Okay.
So it's more, it just ended up with energy, I think, and mobility. Could have been whatever.
Right. I mean, that actually sort of, that builds sort of a nice bridge to what is actually GoCiklo. Because what I've understood, I mean, you work with the last mile, right? So if you just, briefly explain what it is, what you do, and if I understand right, you're operating in 2 different cities in Sweden. So just a little bit about the reach. What is it for the customer? And, what's the problem you're solving?
Yeah. I mean, okay. Right. Yes. I'll start with the problem. Yeah, what we saw there when we're looking at it was that, okay, for the last mile delivery to turn electric, going from combustion engines to electric, they had 2 major problems as we saw it. One was the capex investment, because a combustion moped compared with an electric moped is half the price.
All right.
So you get a huge capex challenge to make the shift. So that's one of the problems we saw. And the other one was, of course, that you need to stand still while charging normally. And that means that you lose like 45 minutes of your work shift. And that's 15% of your transport work. And the business models, they can't take it. So they try to bridge it with buying an extra battery, or some have bridged it.
They would transport that with the vehicle itself.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you get even a huger capex challenge, of course. Okay? Then capex comes up even more.
Right.
Or in some cases we have seen they bought 2 vehicles. So they had one vehicle charging in the hub while the other one was running around. Then the driver comes back and change vehicle. Again, capex is insane from a capex perspective.
Yeah. And sort of complexity also goes up in many ways.
So then we thought, okay, battery swap. I mean, that means that we take the investment of the battery. So suddenly the vehicle costs as a combustion vehicle because the capex for the battery is not included.
Yeah.
So you take away that hurdle. The other one, you're swapping in 10 seconds. So it's actually quicker than filling up the gas tank.
Right.
So then we are actually taking out the two challenges. So that was the starting of it. And
Very nice.
yeah.
Is it, I mean, is the fleet, I mean, what do you call it? Is it like electric moped, or what's the right word for it?
Yeah,
Is it scooter,
I mean,
moped? What's the
scooter,
thing?
mobile. Yeah, you're right. I mean, often people think that we are doing the kick bikes or electric scooters. I mean, it's the same. Now we try e-moped. I think we use sometimes, but we try to, as we will have in our lineup, we will have 3 and 4 wheelers as well. So we are working with light electric vehicles.
Okay.
That's our lineup when it comes to vehicles. And why it's light electric vehicles? Because we think that is using less material while building them, taking less space in the cities, and it's cheaper to buy and operate. Yeah. So it fits very well into the logistics of the cities.
Right.
So that's
but is the fleet? I mean, is the fleet owned by GoCiklo, or is it the actual sort of the light vehicles, or is it sort of like you are serving the battery swap, or you sort of doing the whole thing? You manage the fleet, you lease it out, and you manage these battery swap station. I mean, how does the operating model look like?
Yeah. In the start, we said that we would only do owning the batteries and taking care of the swap. But as you know, there is no standard for the battery form. Battery format. Right. So that's different for different vehicles. Yeah. So we said, okay, to control our destiny, we need to offer the vehicle as well. Because, if we put up swapping station, the batteries, but no one is buying the specific vehicles that work with that battery.
Yeah, it's a bit of a chicken and an egg. Yeah. You're sitting there with the batteries, but, it doesn't match with the vehicle.
No, right? So now actually we are offering the vehicles as well. But we will offer it in 2 ways. One is as you said, leasing. So they rent it. Yeah. Or they can buy it up front. So at the moment, all the deals we have now in place, they are renting them for several years. But we will offer as well going forward that you actually buy it. And then you have a subscription of the battery and the swapping.
I mean, because I checked from your website, I mean, if I understood right, you're operating 2 cities, Stockholm and Göteborg, right? Mm-hmm. So when it comes, I mean, Stockholm is pretty large. So how many battery swaps? I mean,
yeah, right. I mean, it's surprising actually. We have 4 in Gothenburg and 4 in Stockholm. Okay. We have I can mention them. We have Foodora and Volt at the moment as our customers. Yeah. They have bought everything we have brought home. Okay, great. So we're out of stock, so to say, at the moment. Yeah. We are bringing back more here. So everything works great, actually, with 4 stations in both cities. And that, of course, is based on the fact, of course, that the deliveries has to be within the city or close to city limits. We are not able to cover the suburbs. That's the next stage, of course. When we fill up with more vehicles, we will densify the number of stations. But we are a bit surprised actually that 4 stations is enough. But for the couriers, they are comparing it with actually fueling up with gas. And for example, in Stockholm, the gas stations are few and they are pushed out to the outer skirts. So they actually say, wow, this is better because now I can actually fuel up in the middle of the city. Otherwise, if I have a combustion engine, I have to go out in the suburbs to a gas station to fill it up. Yeah. So they think 4 station and as centrally placed as we have put them is better. So it's surprisingly, actually, 4 is enough. And then, of course, we would densify it. That's what's going to happen.
Right. It's interesting because you said in the beginning that you first started. Okay, let's start with let's do the battery swap station only, but then sort of broaden up to the actual sort of fleet management. If you look at sort of you have if we take Stockholm, you have 4 different sites for the battery swap, but then you have a fleet of vehicles out there that I guess the couriers or the companies who have leased them, so they you have these vehicles in their premises, right? So they are sort of wherever the the company using them is utilizing them. So which one do you see is actually sort of, because this is like managing infrastructure, but very small scale, sort of small vehicles and batteries. Anything that has surprised you in that when it comes to, is it more like the fleet management has sort of like, is it more challenging than the battery swap stuff, or is it just, any sort of interesting aspects? Because this is something that concerns many companies, not just in transportation space, but when you have small assets out there that you actually own and they're part of your business model. So is this something that you really that is a big part of the operation, or how would you sort of look at the sort of the infra side of this, managing the infra that's out there? And there's quite a lot of it, I assume, out there, in batteries and in individual vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah, and the solution on that is, of course, connectivity. So we have connectivity, so we know where the stuff is, where they're sitting.
Yeah.
Without that, of course, you're a bit blind, which doesn't feel so nice. With the assets. But on the other hand, having connectivity costs, because you need to have not the connectivity as such, but the devices. More than I would say. But that's very much the solution when you have decentralized assets and small assets which are moving around. That's the way to feel comfort, I would say.
Right. Actually, what I meant was more that if you look at like, where does the time go in sort of building the GoCiklo and sort of managing, is the asset management part, is that a significant part of the daily grind, or is that sort of like, okay, that's sort of, once you set it up, it's sort of
take care of itself? No,
nothing ever does, but
no, especially not when you're working with last mile delivery, I think. No, we have repairs every day, at all the time. At the last mile is driving the stuff very hard. They have short of time, moving fast. You have punctures, tire punctures. You have things, they repairs all the time. So what you need to do there, very specifically, you really need to be on top of the service organization, spare parts, knowing which kind of stuff that actually breaks the most. So you have the stuff. Because very important is that you have the vehicles on the street, because your customer doesn't want to have them in the workshop. Right. So you need to have efficiency in service and repair. Right. I said that's the big thing, and I think there might be players in the past, at least, that made a miscalculation on that one. Maybe included repair and services in their subscription model or whatever. Yeah. But that you have huge costs there.
So you have an incentive for the whoever is driving the vehicle that they actually take good care of it. So that, I guess, if they totally sort of if they throw the battery, the battery swap somewhere in the ditch, it's sort of
then you have to pay.
Then you have to pay. So so that's the from there the. Because within Vattenfall, because you worked with energy solutions, and whether it's like different kind of assets. But if you look at sort of the asset financing, because now you have the fleets, you have the battery swaps. The if it comes to, because when you're rolling out a service and when you're growing and you have sort of capital sort of tied down in these assets, solving sort of the infra financing of this, this is sort of very small assets, even smaller than say EV charging stations or sort of solar installations and so forth. So what sort of unique challenges did you sort of meet in that, or was that sort of totally smooth sailing, when you were trying to solve how do we actually finance the assets? Is it that are they owned by GoCiklo, or are they anything you can sort of, this is something that many companies are trying to also solve, and it would be interesting to hear how did you go about and solve this?
In our case, we have two ways of financing it. We have normal debt, but then as well leasing. And we think leasing will, in the beginning, be the major part of how we finance our assets, because then the debtors will have trouble just to give a debt, but the leasing companies are used to vehicles and use it as security. So that's the main way of financing it. Of course, it comes with a price tag. It does, but you have to have that in your business model, and of course the calculations. We were lucky, I think. We came across Lisa and Friends, a Swedish lease company startup, which fitted us very well. So at the moment we are working with them with the financing we are doing. There will be others in the future. I mean, you need to complement the others. Of course.
And they have to start from somewhere.
Yeah, but they have a good system there with where we are packaging the small assets into portfolios. So they give us a lease for that. So that's nice. But of course, small assets leasing, the type of model we are in, you get the interest rate you get. It comes with a price.
Right. But I mean, you were at least with this, you were able to sort of scale into 2 cities, and now we sort of move on to what's next. So where's the is GoCiklo? Are you planning to sort of am I saying it right? Is it GoCiklo or GoCiklo? What do you say?
GoCiklo. Ciclo is actually Esperanto for circularity.
I
don't know if anyone know. I mean, people don't know about Esperanto anymore, I think, but anyhow, that's what it is.
You sort of the sole Esperanto hobbyist in Sweden, or
I guess so. I guess.
Okay, no, but it's a good name. I mean, it's easy to remember. But so how does what the near future? Are you planning to expand in Sweden, in other countries in the Nordics? And where do you, I mean, as you explained at the beginning, it's mainly sort of delivery companies at the moment. But, I assume this could be used even in, anything last mile, sort of postal delivery, all that sort of things. So how does it look? Where are you planning to sort of expand next? Is it more geographic expandability or different sort of usage areas or anything you can sort of share from that?
Yeah, of course. Now, I mean, we have, I think it's 6 use cases or something where we feel that this works. However, we start clearly, and that's a very conscious decision to go for B2B, because as soon as you move into consumers, you get the factor of they need a lot of convenience. I mean, just looking at the kick bikes, e-scooters, you need to have them all over the town, which have become a problem, of course, and all such and such. But you need that because the consumer doesn't want to walk more than 200 meters to get that one. And that will be the same for us. If we want to sell this concept to consumers, Stockholm will not be enough with 4 swap stations. Most likely 40 will be the minimum. And then you have a huge capex exposure and risk. So we are conscious. We are waiting with consumers, but of course you can put consumers onto this as well, quite naturally going forward. But otherwise, it's B2B fleets. So at the moment, working a lot of discussions with online food delivery companies, but as well parcel companies. Especially when we move into light 3 and 4 wheelers. So that's geographic. Yes, at least 2 more cities this year. We are in Europe.
Okay, all right, all right.
So I mean, often saying that we started in Sweden because we are Swedes. But it's as stupid as start in Finland, to be honest, because these, I mean, it's the worst countries to do 2-wheelers in. I mean, you have it's cold and it's snowy. When we are talking with people in the south and such, they're wondering, what are you running? Are they using it wintertime? Yeah, we put on winter tires with studs. And they're like, what?
It's like, why would you do that?
Why would you put yourself through that? Yeah. So, but this has been a great stress test because,
Yeah.
we have been up
Starting
and
from
running.
the most difficult sort
Yeah.
of, yeah.
So, I mean, I think so as well in Finland as in Sweden. It has been quite cold this winter, quite much snow.
Yes.
We had minus 15 degrees for a long time.
Yeah.
It works. It works.
Okay. So no challenges with like when you do the battery swap, like, do you see degradation in sort of like, how quickly the battery sort of,
I mean, you get this with all electric vehicles. That's what you get. You get less less kilometers you can run with the batteries. That falls, of course. You get slower charging of the batteries in the swap stations. That you get, but that's more. You need then to understand the ratio of extra batteries and batteries out in service, and you need to inform your customers that, hey guys, please swap a little bit more often than you do summer-wise, because it will be shorter length you get out of the batteries. But it has worked. So so now we feel it's let's make life a bit easier. Let's go south.
Yeah.
do warmer
climes,
countries.
Warmer climes. Okay, well, that is super. The maybe as sort of as an end note, anybody listening to this that is either working with electrification of transportation or small assets, or is there, if you would need to sort of say, like, one of the lessons learned or a couple of lessons learned that you would like to share with somebody else who's working with something similar, what would that be? What is something that you did not, when you guys started, you did not realize, but what is something you wish you would have known before you started?
I think it's good not to know too much, because then you might not start, to be honest.
That's a good one. Yes.
That was surprising for me, which is great. And actually, I mean, there's a lot out there. You don't need to build everything. For example, we have taken a conscious decision not to build our own software platform. You have so many SaaS platforms out there that has come from kick bikes. So you have like Wunder Mobility, you have Atom, you have Joyride.
Yeah,
they are already out there. So we could build one, but we will just build the same that's already built.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would advise to really look around and understand the software environment and device environment. Yeah. Because there's so much thing you just can put the puzzle together and
adapt to your particular setting. No, that's a really good insight. Okay, very good. So thanks, Matias. We'll wrap up for today, and I hope that we'll see GoCiklo vehicles soon on the Helsinki streets. It doesn't sound like this is the southern destination, but
no,
but maybe you never know. You never know.
No.
All righty, very good. Thank you, Matias. Thank you for listening. To follow future episodes, subscribe to our newsletter at www.actionenergymarket.com and select Action Energy Market Global Service. We publish new episodes on Fridays. If you are a technology provider or developer in the energy or clean infrastructure area, add your solution to our solution bank.